Hello, everybody. This is Nousheen Mukhtar with another episode of the Trailblazers Talk Show. This is a podcast that you have loved for so many months. And today we are going to talk about a topic which you will find highly useful. Why do I say that? Because I've been an entrepreneur for 12 years and I've been in need of a mediation expert more than once. Okay, more than twice. Okay, more than thrice. Because what happens here is when you're an entrepreneur, you assume that things will go smoothly. You assume that your clients are always going to like the way you are working. You assume there will not be a conflict during your journey. But that assumption is not correct because during your journey, as you are operating your business, you're working with so many different kind of personalities, so many different kind of businesses, so many different kind of service takers. You might get into issues. And it's not just the entrepreneurs, even corporate might need at many times during a year an expert to help them with conflict resolution. So today's episode is going to be all about conflict resolution and why and how you can make use of a mediation expert to help you through your business operations. Let's begin. I have invited today Zeinab Jaafar, who is a mediation expert for, let's say, more than 2 decades. She's been into legal industry for a very long time and has been working in multiple jurisdictions by now. She is now in Dubai and is here with you to share with you her experiences and her useful knowledge that will help you wade through your various operational challenges. Let's start. Hello, Zeinab. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here.
It is my pleasure, Zeinab, to have you with us today on the talk show.
It's such a passionate topic that I like to speak about, so I'm like really looking forward for this.
Yeah, okay. Let's begin. Let's begin the talk. So, Zeinab, tell us more about your expertise in the mediation field.
Actually, my journey with mediation started long time ago when I was still living in Belgium. It is at a time where I was practicing in the legal field. And through my experience, I started to witness the weakness of the litigation and to feel and to witness from the other side the power of the alternative conflict resolution. I saw people crying even after winning a case. I saw people with broken hearts after even having their inheritance from a court decision because they broke their relation with their siblings. I saw companies with heavy burden because of all the internal problems and conflicts that were decreasing the productivity and affecting big time the communication within the companies. And from the other side also, I'm someone who hates confrontation. I don't like it, and I always try to use communication skills in my practice with my clients. But I wanted to go even like further on this level. I believe that better solution can be reached when we rely on listening and understanding, and when we take the approach, a more peaceful approach based on the focus on really having a beneficial mutual solution. So it was really a moment where I had a call. I had the call for mediation, where I felt that we have to use more empathy and to be able to reach a holistic and lasting solution in the field. Because at the end, the idea is not the outcome of the situation between two parties. It's really the relationship that we wanted to last, that we wanted to be rebuilt, let's say. So communication is really a bridge
Right.
Instead of being a barrier, we can use it as a bridge to build this relation between the parties and to allow them to find a solution that's really beneficial to both of them. And that's how I decided to get into the field and take the initiative in this practice. And so I got certified, and I started my practice since long time ago in this field.
You're very experienced in the field. So let's first talk about the entrepreneurs, because a lot of our audience are entrepreneurs. When it comes to being an entrepreneur, when you're the face of your business, and so many clients are directly associated with you, conflicts can become very stingy. So, and many of the entrepreneurs might not even realize that they're in a situation where they need a mediation expert to help them with.
Yeah.
So what do you advise? Like, when is the right time to consult a mediation consultant to help them handle a conflicting situation?
Yeah. So I would like to start by saying that a mediation is here to prevent, at the very first, tension escalation. But it's also here to resolve an escalated tension. So it's really a process that helps prevention, awareness, that gives awareness, but at the same time, when the conflict is there, the issue is there, then it helps healing, it helps to get to a resolution. It's very important for an entrepreneur to be very aware about what's happening in their company, in their activity. It's very important to be educated and educate also the employees that they have, to give them training, workshops about communication skills, about empathy, about conflict resolution in general. It's also very important to implement policies that can help the employees understand and also feel reassured that they have ways and paths to take in case there's any conflict or any issue starting. They have to try to avoid actually accumulation. I always say they should keep it on zero level. So always try to solve the problems before they escalate, to solve the tension before it escalates. And this happens also when they have clear tasks for each one. So sometimes the interference of tasks between employees can be a big source of competitive relation between them instead of having a collaborative relation. So it's very important to bring the spirit of collaboration between the employees, between the team actually, and really teach the team how to work on communication skills and really to use them within their work together. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to do before we reach a conflict. We can already prevent 80% of the conflict by trying to implement, as I said, policies and bring the collaborative spirit into the company and doing trainings, workshops, and since the beginning, as I said, really have clarity in tasks and in things happening. And also very important for an entrepreneur to listen. To listen to the frustrations. There's the non-verbal communication that happens. There are people who are in silence, but they are still suffering. An entrepreneur, a skilled entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur who can feel the frustration before it's brought in words.
Yeah.
This is really very important. And every entrepreneur can become skilled by training themselves also. So when you hear the frustration before it starts, when you are listening to the problems and to the issues that are happening around you, you are already preventing 80% of the conflicts. Now, at a certain point, some conflicts, they cannot be avoided, so they happen, they are there. Aggression and apologies are not really the solution to solve them. I mean, if you face a conflict with aggressivity, or if you just try to finish it as soon as possible by apologies, this is going to accumulate frustrations again. So the very important thing to do is really to face it, but to face it with a constructive and positive communication.
Right. How far
At
do you
that time,
think? Yeah. How far do you think that corporate culture can actually help in preventing and resolving conflicts?
Big time. Big time. I mean, all what I just mentioned now, if they are implemented in a company, if they are taken in consideration, and it starts from really the higher levels and the higher positions in the company.
Right.
The entrepreneur is more responsible than the employee about this task, about this duty of enhancing communication in the space, in the workspace.
Right. In your 2 decades of experience, how many women did you meet in this industry? Too many or too less?
Yes. I have to say that my experience as a mediator started when I was in Belgium, in Europe. And I mean, it started by the advice of a woman. And I met a lot of women doing the courses with me. And even the coaches who were coaching us were a lot of women. I was so proud from the first moment about it. And now it doesn't mean there is more women than men, because when we speak about mediation, it's a bit fun. It's a lot of emotions. There is a lot of emotions. So some people would say, oh, this is more for female gender, not male gender. Actually, no, because I do believe that male as female, they have a lot of emotions and they need to deal with them, with these emotions. So there is a lot of women in this field, but not because it's a field built on emotions. When I speak about emotions, I mean by that mediation is really a process that helps us dive deep inside a conflict instead of solving it superficially, like from up to up, you know. No, we really delve inside it and we try to find the source of the problem. Why this is happening, the big why the problem happened. How was the relation before the problem? And then from there on, what do we really need to resolve? We try to reach the underlying interest and needs of the parties.
Right.
And this is very important because at the end, we are human beings. And the human side cannot be put aside all the time. And the more you put it aside, the more it's frustrated and the more it will come back with big explosion. And this is how aggressivity is shown in the world, because a lot of time the underlying needs and interests are not met, are not reached, are not heard. And this is very important.
Very interesting. That brings me to the question related to emotional intelligence.
Yes, big time.
Big time, right?
Big time. I mean, I think the emotional intelligence is a big
factor.
Is a big element that has to be like really taken in consideration by entrepreneurs, by companies, by corporations, even by people. Because at the end, the mediation for me, it's not only an activity. It's an education. It's a lifetime behavior that you decide to take. When I became a mediator, I started to even use the skills and the tools at home on my person.
You became a psychologist, actually.
And then, actually, what happened is that in my experience as a mediator, I started to understand the suffer and the pain that the parties can go through. And I felt that it wasn't enough, actually, to also sit as a mediator and try to help them solve the problem. I needed to go even deeper than that, and I had to coach them.
Okay.
So
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, let's say that a lot of tools that are used in mediation are coming from coaching.
Right.
So basically, a mediator is a coach for the parties. And before being coach for the parties, he's a coach she is a coach for herself or for himself.
Right.
The self-coaching is a very important factor because just imagine with me a mediator who just left his home after a fight with his wife or her husband and being overwhelmed with a lot of stress, and they come and they want to solve the problems of two parties who are in conflict. How can they do it? I think they will add
it will not work.
Yeah, it will not work, you know. I mean, maybe they will add more tension than they could decrease it. So it's very important for the mediator to start by coaching themselves, by developing their skills, by working on their stress, by really building the connection with themselves before building the connection with the parties. This is very important.
So how did you succeed in building a connection with yourself before you built it with others?
I tell you that this is not an easy task to do, and I would tell you that I work on myself every day, just like everybody has to do. But something for sure I did when I felt the interest for coaching and for these skills. I studied coaching, even though I work in the legal field. I mean, for some people, they might find it like, you know, a bit like weird, but some other people who are really into the field and will hear me now, they will understand how much it is important. The psychology is important for a lawyer, for a judge, for any professional. The psychology is there. The mental and emotional facets of an individual, we cannot ignore them in our life.
True.
And the more we acknowledge them, the more we enhance the ability to achieve better solutions and higher productivity in whatever domain we are.
I agree with you on that. What was one very difficult situation for you during your practice as a mediator?
It was first, it's so funny, I want to say it. First, letting people, give people the awareness about mediation. And for so many times when I was talking about mediation, some people would say, so you do meditation. I mean, listen, for me, meditation is so connected to mediation, as I said, because the self-coaching is very important for a mediator, as well for the parties, as well for each one. But it's not meditation. So I was like, okay, no, I have to correct. It's not meditation, it is mediation. People didn't know a lot about mediation, even though it is a very natural way to solve problems, and it exists since ever in the history. But with time, they started to, not long time ago, they started to structure it with more legal rules and regulations in order to support it, and in order to make sure that the mediation will be timely, will be efficient, will be fair as well. So, yeah.
How do you ensure fairness? It's not easy, I know.
It is not easy. Actually, a mediator has to be neutral and impartial. So he has to ensure by law, because, you know, there are also regulations and laws that really outline the role of the mediator and the obligations that he has to respect, actually, during his practice as a mediator. So by law, he has to be impartial and he has to be neutral, which means that he has to make sure that there's no conflict of interest with any parties when he wants to start the mediation. And this is the first phase of the mediation. We call it the pre-mediation phase, where he has to make sure that there's no relation, any relation between him and any of the parties. He doesn't belong to an organization that has interest with the outcome of the mediation. So these details has to be taken really in consideration and very seriously at the very beginning. And if he noticed or she noticed anything, they have to disclose it. Okay?
Right.
So at the same time, being impartial means being fair, equally fair to both parties. And this is not easy. You have to imagine that the mediation, okay, he has to have all the skills of communication, he has to use tools, he has to have empathy, he has to listen actively to the parties equally, he has to give them equal time to express themselves, he has to be careful of the vocabulary he uses, of the words he uses, the language, the tone with each of the party. Can you imagine that a human being would be sitting and he has to be like making sure, despite all the fluctuation of of the that's happening in the session with the parties, like, you know, the tension going up and down, expressing feelings, needs, trying to find options. And then he has at the same time to be in control and making sure that he's giving them equally the same amount of care, of time, of attention. It's like driving a car in the very beginning. Like, you have to, you know, like, look forward but also backward and make sure that, you know.
And even the side mirrors.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. This is how it starts with a mediator, actually. And then at a certain time, it becomes fluid, it becomes fluent, it becomes, it's a reflex. You get the reflex, but you need a lot of practice. And that's why I do believe that the mediator has to work a lot. Mediators have to work a lot on themselves and keep on improving, keep on studying, keep on training themselves. And it doesn't happen always from the first time. It's okay if the first mediation wasn't the best one. It's okay if some mediation don't work the way they want us. We want them to work, but it will come with time. But we have to keep on improving and on practicing. That's for sure.
For sure. When you're mediating and you are like, you know, there is a force between you and the two opposing parties, and you're going to make peace between them. So they're all giving you their stress.
Yes.
How do you deal with that extra stress that comes to your life as a result of this?
This is where I say that the mediation has to, like, really develop his skills in the self-coaching and really work on it big time. Why? Because once you develop this power in you to protect yourself and to separate yourself from what's happening outside. When you look at what's happening from an objective eye, from a distance, it's completely a different experience than when you get involved in it. And of course, the mediation has to have a lot of empathy, has to empathize with the parties, but he should not feel that he's one of the parties. He should not get involved in their trouble and their problem and their issue. And one very important thing that mediators, a lot of mediators until now, they still get overwhelmed with it. You are not there to find a solution for the parties. At the very beginning, it's very important to define what's mediation. It's the intervention of a third party, a neutral third party, in order to communicate and to help the parties communicate, understand each other, and together find a suitable solution for their issue.
Right.
He's helping them. He's not there to find a solution for them. So if they can, he has to use all the skills, the tools, all the elements that would help him to bring them in, to communicate together. But if it doesn't happen, he has to understand that if it doesn't happen, it's okay.
Right.
It doesn't happen. The most important thing I would believe that the mediator should bring to the table when he comes to the session of mediation is building this rapport with the parties. And this should happen very naturally. If you're desperate to build rapport, it's not going to happen. It has to come naturally. And for that, the way you show up, the energy you bring or you lift when you come into the session, the way you shake hands with the parties at the very beginning, everything counts.
True.
So they have to build trust, they have to build rapport, because the more the parties trust you, the more they will tell you that they will express themselves and share with you their experience. They will reveal what is behind the scene, you know. What is reassuring in the mediation, it is that it is a confidential process. So whatever happens in a mediation session stays in the mediation session. By law, the mediator cannot disclose, and the parties by contract, because they sign a contract in the very beginning, they cannot disclose any information.
Right.
And this is reassuring for the parties.
So what are different phases of mediation?
So in the very beginning, there is the phase of preparation where we have to share documents, make sure that the parties are capable, know who are the stakeholders in the matter, and then. Once everything is settled, they sign a contract to start the mediation, and then start the second phase, basically, which is the first one, the open statement, where the mediator has to explain to the parties in a joint session about the mediation clearly with all the obligations and duties. And then the parties also will do their open statement. Most of the time they come with their lawyers. Also, we have to give voice for the lawyers in this. And then after a certain point, so in this joint session, the parties will explain a little bit about their situation and the matter. And then at a certain point, when the mediator feels that it's time for it, he separates them in different sessions called private session, and he starts to do the tour between both parties. And here, this is the listening and the understanding part, where the parties, once they have built the trust with the mediator, they will really share with them all what they have of expectations, of disappointments, of frustration. And so the emotions happens at this level of the mediation, at this stage of the mediation. And once all the emotions are brought up, once everything is clear, once their expectations, their needs and their interests are put on the table, confidentially, unless they want to disclose something to each other. So, it's very important. So then they start to, the brainstorming phase starts to try to find options and solution and compare them to each other. So they have to collaborate together instead of being competing together. They collaborate together in order to find a solution. Once they found the suitable and acceptable solution, they have to draft it with the mediator, the lawyers, and ensure that it is within the frame of the relevant laws of the jurisdiction where the mediation is happening. This is very important. So the mediation is really a collaborative, facilitative, a flexible, relationship-focused process.
Relationship-focused is the key word. Because,
100%.
of course, you have to be very careful. You should not show partiality towards a party.
Exactly.
You should be objective. You should not carry the stress home.
Yes.
You should be able to dissolve it within the time frame that you're spending with the parties.
Yes.
So all this matters a lot. You have to have a very, very professional approach.
And it has to be, what's very important about mediation, it's that it's cost effective and time efficient also.
Time efficient.
So it's faster. It goes faster than litigation that can really stays for years.
Please.
And it's cost effective because it's for sure the expenses are fewer, but also time is valuable.
True.
So when you gain in time, you gain also financially.
Yes, of course. Especially in corporate life, this matters a lot.
It's a heavy burden actually for corporates. I mean, to have on the top of all the issues and the matters, also to have to undergo the expenses of the litigations. So I think the mediation is really a solution for every corporation to deal with 80% of their conflicts, and 80% of the mediation are successful. So at the end, look what is the left percentage of conflicts that really need to go to litigation or that's really avoidable.
Right.
Very
Thank you so much, Zeinab. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
I
you so
truly
much.
enjoyed the conversation, and it gave you guys also a lot of strength to understand and a lot of knowledge to use in future should you have a conflict in your company. Thank you so much, Zeinab.
Thank you. Thank you
See
so
you
much.
again
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you.
And I see you guys very soon with another episode. Thank you and ciao.